Today, I want to talk about one of the more important real estate industry stories in Chicago right now, and that is MRED moving toward what it calls an open MLS model. At a high level, this means local associations in the MRED ecosystem may eventually have the option to offer MLS access to licensed agents who are not realtors. That's a meaningful shift. It follows changes approved by NAR in late 2025 that reinforced local discretion on non-member MLS access. MRED's move is not immediate, and local associations still have to determine whether they will offer that access and how those options will be structured. Now, if you're an agent watching this, the first thing to understand is this is not just a technical rule update. This is not just an MLS compliance story. This is a business model story. For a long time, many people in residential real estate operated under the assumption that MLS access, realtor membership, and association participation were tightly tied together. What this move suggests is that the relationship between those things may become more flexible in at least some markets and through at least some associations. MRED's rules now explicitly contemplate access through different service agreements and other authorized user categories, not only traditional realtor participant structures. So why does this matter? Because once access is no longer viewed as the whole value proposition, the conversation changes. Agents begin to ask, what am I actually paying for? What am I actually getting? What is the value of affiliation beyond listing access? That's where this gets very real for associations and brokerages. If access becomes easier, cheaper, or simply more flexible for some people, then the organizations serving agents have got to get sharper about the value they provide. That means training, coaching, legal updates, forms, networking, advocacy, compliance, support technology, lead generation, recruiting, branding, operational help, community. All those things become more important, not less. And I think that's the real key takeaway here. This kind of change forces the industry to compete on value instead of default structure. Now, let's talk specifically about agents. If you're an individual agent, this story matters because it could eventually create more options. Options are not automatically good or bad, but they do change behavior. Some agents may look at this and say, great, maybe this lowers costs or gives me more flexibility. Others may say, I still want the full benefits that come with realtor membership and association involvement. And both of those reactions can exist at the same time. The point is not that one choice is right for everyone. The point is that choice itself can change the market. Once people have more than one path to access, they begin comparing value more carefully. Now, let's talk about brokerages, because I actually think this is where the biggest implications are. If you own or run a brokerage, you should not be looking at this story and thinking only about dues and access. You should be thinking about positioning. Ask yourself this question. If access becomes less exclusive, why should an agent join or stay with my brokerage? If the answer is only MLS access, you've got a problem. If the answer is better support, leadership, systems, better coaching, better culture, marketing, recruiting, better opportunity, then you're in a much stronger position. This is why I believe this is really a leadership story. The brokerages that win in the next chapter of residential real estate will be the ones that can clearly articulate their value beyond the database. And to be clear, this does not mean associations or realtor organizations lose relevance. In fact, you could argue the opposite. It means they have to communicate their relevance more clearly. NAR has already published guidance around non-member access and has stressed that local programs must still comply with broader legal and policy requirements. So the future here is probably not one size fits all. Some associations may open access in limited ways. Some may move faster than others. Some agents may stay fully engaged in realtor membership because they value the broader package. Others may start exploring lower cost or narrower access models if those become available. That variation is exactly why this story matters. It introduces strategic choice into a space that many people assumed was fixed. There's also another reason to watch this closely. Once one major MLS makes a move like this, people start asking whether other MLSs or markets will follow. Is a major player. And changes like this tend to influence broader industry conversations. Reports in early 2026 have already pointed to non-realtor MLS access becoming a growing national discussion after NAR's handbook changes. So here's my bottom line. This is not the end of anything, but it may be the beginning of a more competitive value conversation. For agents, the question is, what do you truly need from the organizations you pay? For associations, the question is, how clearly can you prove your value? For brokerages, The question is, if access becomes easier, what makes your platform worth joining? Because in a market where access is less of a moat, relevance becomes everything. And that's why the MRED story matters. If you're in the Chicago real estate or Illinois real estate, I would love to hear your take. Do you think more flexible MLS access is good for agents and consumers? Or do you think it creates more confusion in the market? Let me know in the comments.